It is day 2 of testimony in the motion hearing to have the indictment against actor Alec Baldwin thrown out. Now, he's scheduled to go to trial next month for involuntary manslaughter in the fatal shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins. Well, the defense wants the indictment dismissed with prejudice based on the state's destruction of evidence. Well, last Friday, the state's firearm expert testified that he didn't come across anything that indicated that the firearm that Baldwin had malfunctioned. Now, that witness was back on the stand today on cross, where the defense questioned testing of that gun.
You agree that the testing that the FBI and Mr. Ziegler did, the destructive accidental testing, was unnecessary in light of the circumstances of this case, correct?
I would view it as unnecessary given the context of the case.
And I'm going to put up very quickly the prosecutor's Exhibit 80, which we looked at before. And hopefully that works efficiently.
I can see
right. And okay, great. And as you spoke about, and just to orient the court, the notch closest to me, the full cock notch, this is where at the very bottom of it, or the left side of it, there is something missing, right? The notch.
Yes. Okay.
And that little piece, and a piece of that was actually missing when you received the hammer after the destruction at the FBI, correct?
That's also correct.
And the testing that you did, sir, was to isolate the damage to the hammer, fair?
Yeah. Yes.
But the sear, which is what I want to turn to now, the sear is another important part of the firearm, correct?
Yes, it is.
And the sear is the top of the trigger, right?
That's right.
And the sear is what engages with these notches in the hammer and what sort of catches within those notches, fair?
Also correct.
And the sear is about the size, I think you said last time, of the tip of a screwdriver.
Small screwdriver.
And so the way that the sear interacts with the hammer is that it can engage with the notches in a very precise way to stop the firing from happening.
That's right.
And if you were to change the depth of the sear, the angle of the sear, take a piece of the sear off, it could have an impact. Fair?
It might.
And if I asked you, if I gave you a firearm and said to you, you know, take the sear out of the firearm and file it or change it, how would you do that?
I'm not sure what my purpose would be. Can you clarify what would be my intention of doing that?
Well, forget your intention for now. I mean, if you were to file it, how would you do that? Or you can't answer that. You're saying to me you can't possibly answer that question without knowing the purpose of the alteration.
Right.
Well, let me ask you this. You can and have, when you disassemble firearms, taken the sear piece out, correct?
Yes, many times.
Okay. Now, the testing of this sear, and we can take this exhibit down, the testing you did where you replaced some of the parts in the firearm and isolated the damage to the hammer, you couldn't do that with this sear because of the way it broke off, correct?
Yes, that's right.
And you viewed any attempt to do so as pointless, effectively.
Yes.
But you did observe damage to that piece of the sear, correct?
Yes, it's broken.
All right, whether that gun was damaged, big issue in the case. Baldwin has denied pulling the trigger. He is scheduled to go to trial on July 9th. Our Court TV cameras will be there, and we're going to bring you all the developments.